reading pony stories. Maybe you were one of these kids that always had your head in a book. And today I have got a really exciting guest for you, and it's Helen Haraldsen. And Helen is an author. She writes Ambitious Ponytails and Daily Dog Tales, and she's going to share a bit more of her insight in how she's had to pivot in order to run a business as an equestrian author. So enjoy this episode. It's part of my summer of sharing, and I'm trying to get as many equine business owners on the podcast as possible so that you can hear their stories and hopefully get some insights. So you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome, Helen. I'm so excited that you are here on the podcast. So just for everybody that's listening, can you explain a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yes, so I am Helen Haraldsen. I live in Cumbria, up in the north of England. I am an English teacher. I started out in life as a primary school teacher, did that for a little bit. Then I went on to be a secondary school English teacher. I've been a school librarian. And I'm now an author. I write pony stories for kids based on my own experiences because I'm a lifelong rider and horse owner as well. So I've got lots of material to share.
And you came into my world probably, I mean, it's almost a year, I guess now, since you came to my world, because you were out there putting your books out there and things were going all great. And then all of a sudden, you had to pivot and change. Tell us a bit more about what happened.
So I have never really considered that I could be an author. It was just a bit of a lifelong dream. I wrote my first pony story back in 2004, tried to get it published, sent it out to publishers and things and didn't get anywhere. So I just thought that was the end, gave up. And then many years later, I kind of came back to it, tried again. Got it published eventually, 15 years after I'd written it. So I was delighted that I had a publisher. It was just a small local publisher who was setting up in my local area. But, I thought, brilliant, I've got that connection now. And here we go. So the first one was published in March 2019. I very quickly went off and wrote the second one. That came out in October 2019. And then the third one was due to be launched at Badminton Horse Trials in May 2020. However, in March 2020, we had a bit of a plot twist, which nobody saw coming, which was COVID. So my publisher, like everyone else at the time, furloughed, closed down. And I just thought, oh, well, this is a bit of a temporary blip. I'll just get on and keep writing my series, and then I'll have lots of books ready when everything gets back to normal again. But after several months, nothing was happening, and eventually the publisher said that they weren't able to reopen, and that was it. So my publishing dream that had taken 15 years to get going got started and very quickly fell off the end of a cliff.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like there's always these hurdles, these roads, but it's still like 3 years on. You're still here, your books are still here. So what did you have to do? Like, how did that change for you?
So, it had taken me that long to get a publisher. It's such a difficult industry to get into because obviously publishing is a business. They need to know that your books are going to be commercial, going to be successful. So, for publishers to take a risk on people they've never heard of, it's hard to break into. So when I lost my publisher, I thought, well, do I start again trying that? Even though I've got 2 books out, the third is ready to go. I'd been writing more, so they were all ready to go. And by now I had readers who were saying, when's the next book coming out? And I thought, if this takes me another 2 years, 3 years, 15 years, I'll lose all my readers. So the other option was to start to publish independently, which I was absolutely terrified about because again, that's such a lot to learn. And it means you're not just the writer. You don't just write the books and then go, right, off you go. You deal with everything else and I'll just start writing the next one. You've got to take on everything. And I know I was still working. I was a full-time teacher and librarian at that time. I've got 3 horses to look after, dogs, the house, etc. Life. I just thought, well, how on earth can I have time to learn all of this? But I did. I just thought, yeah, I don't think I cannot bear the rounds of trying to get published and not hearing back for months, or I didn't know whether a publisher would want something that had been partially published by someone else. It just didn't seem to be the best plan. So I took the leap and started watching and reading and listening to everything there was to do with independent publishing and trying to teach myself how to do it.
Yeah. And so the one thing that I love, I mean, we probably all grew up at some point, reading, the pony stories. And I know I was sort of, the Jill's Gymkhana, the saddle clubs and stuff like that. But we've had this conversation before about that. Actually, some of it is just like, it's not real life. It's not what horses are really like. And they, so your books are a little bit different for the next generation, aren't they? Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up reading all of those old books as well, and I loved them. But you can now see how they're outdated, and some of the things that happen in those books just wouldn't be possible now. And then I've also read books where just some of the concepts in them they're not terribly realistic.
Yeah.
And I know that books should be aspirational, but I think as somebody who's been through the whole pony scene, and I've not had ponies that you just get on and go, push button and you go and win. My ponies have been a little bit more characterful, shall we say. So there's been lots and lots of ups and downs, and disappointments and heartbreaks and all of the things that if you are in that horsey world, you'll be familiar with. So when I was writing my books, I've got all of my own experience. I had a wealth of true things that had actually happened. And I thought, I'm not going to gloss over them. I'm not going to pretend that they were different or easier or more glam than they were. I'm just going to keep it real. I'm just going to write the truth and write what happened. There's a little bit of fictional pepper for a bit of, a bit of flavour in there. But the majority of it is true. And, I think a lot of my readers appreciate that because they can tell that it is authentic, and it's not glossy, and it's not pink, and it's not frilly. It is about the rain and the mud and the falls. And
it's not like, here's my perfect pony and we're going to have so much fun together. And it's like, this horse follows me everywhere. And it's like, no, sometimes you get those ponies that actually don't care. So
that's what I wanted to put across, and I think readers do relate to that, especially people who are horsey people. There's a lot of people who read my books who like ponies from a distance but aren't riders. But a lot of the people who read them are riders. And I've had people get in touch to say, your books have given me more confidence because I've been having trouble with my pony and I thought it was only me. Because, especially in this day and age, you see everybody's Instagram highlights and everybody's an influencer with 7,000 followers when they're only 12. And it makes you think that's who you've got to be, and you're struggling away with some pony who doesn't want to jump a cross pole today.
Or a pole, even a pole on the floor. I've had
there's lots of people who are having that same struggle. And even the influencers with their millions of followers and their pony jumping a 4-foot fence probably have days like that. It just doesn't always make the real.
Exactly. So like when you think about how things have changed for you, and like you've had to now go from having somebody else out there publishing, and I suspect they probably did a lot of the promotion and stuff. They took a lot off your hands. Like you now have to do all of that.
They didn't actually. I think that's a bit of a myth with publishing. I think if you're a big name, if you're already known, then the publishers will help. But you've still got to do it. Marketing is an author's responsibility. But what they did take off me was the admin side and the maths side and the dealing with uploading it and looking at the figures and looking at the statistics and advertising and all of that kind of thing. So that was
so you definitely had to build your skills a little bit. And I think a lot of people who are equine entrepreneurs will sort of understand that actually you go out there and you think this is what I'm going to do, but then you soon find there's all this other stuff. There's all this other stuff. Like how have you coped with all of that? Like so the money and the admin and doing all of the extra work.
I think at this point where I am at the moment, I basically just work all the time. I have my job, I'm still a teacher. Sorry, but I've dropped down, so I only work 2 days a week at school now, and the rest of the time I'm either writing or marketing or reading things or watching things to help me, and just try so many things, and often a lot of them don't work. And then you think, right, that's it, I'm giving this up, I can't do it, I'm clearly no good at this, I cannot do it. And then you think, yeah, but I love it though. I can't, the actual writing of the books and putting them out and how exciting it is to put them out. And then when readers get in touch to give you some sort of comment that absolutely, floors you by the things that people say, you've just written a book and then it really affects someone's life or something. And going into schools, and sometimes going to schools to do an author visit, and you're introduced as a real life author. It's this rare thing, and we've lassoed it and we've brought it in to display it to you children, and they're all very excited, and you think, wow, I can't just give it up. So as hard as it is, and as much as I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall sometimes, and there's been tears and tantrums along the way, you give up, and like, I'm retiring, I'm giving up, and that lasts for about 2 days, and then you're back to it again.
And I think we all have that. And I often sort of say, business is bumpy, and there's going to be these times when you're on cloud 9, and there are times when you're so low and you just think, I give up, I can't do this. And then you're back on cloud 9, and it is like that. So it's like, how do you find a way that sort of cuts through it? Like, what do you find that works for you to help you in those moments, like when you're up and down?
I don't know if I have found a way yet, really. I think I'm still at that point.
Yeah.
Just, if I see some of my books, several of my books now have been bestsellers. They've got to the top of their category on Amazon, and you think, how many people have that dream and have that ambition and would love to see one of their books do that? And I think I've had 4 of mine be at the top. So you just have to, whenever you're having these I can't do it moments, you just have to look back and go and read reviews that people have said, and
because ultimately,
look at what I think you're always looking at what you haven't done or what you need to do, and you cannot remember to look at what you've achieved.
Whereas if you go back even 20 years and you said, we've written a book and we've hit 4 times, we've hit the bestsellers, like, what would you have then done? You'd have fallen.
15 years ago, when I hadn't even got published because I thought I couldn't. So those are the things I think.
There's a lot of that, and so your books, who is your ideal reader? Like, tell everybody if they're listening, in case they've got kids or whatever, who's your ideal reader?
So they always say about having a very specific ideal reader. There's lots of people who aren't my ideal reader who read my books, but my ideal reader is a girl who is who's 8 or over, who loves ponies, who has her own pony, and goes competing with her pony, and doesn't always win, and has those bad days as we've described.
Because the number of times that you read the stories, it's like, every single one they come first, and it wasn't like, no, actually I got eliminated before I jumped the first fence today.
They go out, they find some raw pony that's never done anything. They've only had 3 lessons in their life, and by the end of the book they're running around the Grand National or badminton or Hickstead or something, and you just think, having had 4 lessons with the next door neighbour who happened to be a dressage coach in the 50s, or something like that.
And it's about getting those real expectations and actually inspiring people to move forward and to sort of that next generation. So if somebody wanted to get your books, where do they need to go now in order to get them?
And they can go onto Amazon. They're online. You can request them from your local bookshop. They may not have them in, but if you ask for them, you can get them there. Or if you go onto my website or my social media or anything like that and connect with me, I do signed books and gift boxes and things like that. So you can get them direct from me with my signature and with special rosettes and stickers and all of that stuff.
Awesome. And I'll make sure that I put all the links to all of those in the show notes. So if anybody actually wants to go and have a look, we can, hopefully if we can get you another book sale, everybody's listening, check it out. If you've got kids, nieces, nephews, godsons, goddaughters, etc. And you think actually they'd enjoy some horsey books, because again, if we've grown up on horsey books, we know we know how important that is, and especially coming up to summer, we need something other than getting the kids on their PlayStations and tellies and things like that. So like, we've been working together a little while, Helen. Like, you've been part of my Stable Foundations Hub Plus. Like, how have you been finding that, honestly?
I think it's just been good for those moments, because often there's very few times I come to you and I'm like, I'm having a great time and I don't need any help. There's always something. I'm always sort of down in the dumps by the time I get round to coming to you, and then you always, just sort of pick me up and give me some easy, simple things that actually are helpful, that I can go and do, that aren't momentous and don't need, a 3-hour chunk to do. They're just quick, easy things that I think, why haven't I thought of that? Like, why have I not thought of that? I think, just helping me see the wood for the trees, I think.
Yeah, I think sometimes that's quite important, isn't it? Because, so when you're in that downward sort of spiral and things are going bad, having people with the right questions and ideas to actually even just, find the things that you can do and shift your perspective can just, make it much quicker to actually, take action and move forward. Whereas, like I've said, the people who love us, that are around us, that we can actually go and moan at, they'll either give us some tough love that's not helpful, like, oh, just give up, go and get a job, why are you doing this? Or they'll just make us like, oh, poor you, but it doesn't actually move us forward.
Nobody I know, none of my family or anything, are business people. Everybody I know has a job, so that, there's not many people I can discuss this kind of thing with in my social world.
And they don't get it, and it is hard, and there are going to be 101 things that you try and it's not going to work. And and we've got but it's getting ourselves back on the horse to keep trying quicker and quicker. And so if that's what the Stable Foundations Hub Plus gives you, I feel like I've done my job on that. So
I think it's just part of being a horse rider. When you've been a horse rider all of your life, it does give you that perseverance and determination and resilience, because it's blooming hard work.
It's hard work. There are days when you don't feel like it. You still have to get up and do it. And even when you feel,
just gives you that that routine that you just get on with it. You can't always be in a successful time. You have to keep going, whether it's good times or bad kind of thing. And I think horses school that into you.
No, definitely. And so it is one of those things that when you're running a business, trying to do it on your own, same as trying to deal with your horse on your own, can be really hard when you're just like, I don't know why it's behaving like this, and and you just don't have that perspective. So it's sometimes that's where it sort of really, really helps. So is there anything else that you think, like, if you were to do it again, like if you were to start again, what would your advice for yourself be? Or like, what do you wish you had known sooner?
I don't know. I think it's things along the lines of, you're always looking to the future and looking at what you haven't done yet and what you haven't achieved and what you want. And you kind of have to just, I don't know, trust that you're going to get there, because you don't know that you are going to get there, but kind of enjoy the process of where you are now, and look at what you've actually achieved.
The power's in the now, isn't it? It's like your goals really are just your next steps, not that big result. The big result's going to happen. It's just
kind of, even things like just from everyday life. I've just been watching Wimbledon. And you can kind of see, like, some of the players, the more they want it, the more they're desperate for the win, the more they almost take themselves out of it. They put so much pressure on themselves that they can't go forwards. They can't do it. They're too sort of tight and stressed. And it's almost the same thing. You're that desperate to want to achieve and get somewhere.
And it becomes the other side of the magnet, doesn't it? Not the one that you want. It pushes it away further. So it's just focus it. Like I often say to people, it's focusing on the beliefs and how you're feeling now and your next action steps. Like what's important now, like to get to that result, and not the result. Just focus on like what's important now, because say results happen, they just happen, and then when you get a result, you have to go, is this what I wanted? No, okay, I go back to my action steps.
One of the analogies that's helped is like when you've said, I've always think if I stop, I'm giving up, and you've said about no, when you're on your horse, you don't just stop, you ride to a halt. And my horse is a very hot, busy horse, and if I just keep riding him, we just end up arguing because he tries to take over, because he's very opinionated. And sometimes I have to just stop and put him on a long rein and just make him stand there. And that's an active thing that we're doing, because if I just kept going, we would just fall out and get nowhere. And it's kind of the same thing. You can just keep going, and you get. It's like, I don't know. There's a guilt that you think, if I stop, I'm not doing anything. I'm not making it happen. And what's going to happen?
Yeah, we feel like we've got to be busy
all the time. Otherwise, what are you doing? Whereas actually, sometimes you just need to be doing nothing so you can think about it. And that's something that I struggle with.
Yeah, as well. I say, sometimes having that option with somebody that you can go to and we can just hold some space, like say even with the group calls, or whatever, just to hold that space so that you're like, okay, right, I've stopped. Now what? Yeah, now what is my next strategic action, rather than just keep going around and I've got to keep going. I've got to keep going.
You need to reflect and think, well, what's working, what's not, why is it not?
Yeah.
Even if something doesn't seem to be working brilliantly, if it's been a small success, how can you build on that small success?
Yeah.
It's just like the same thing. You don't enter your horse in badminton straight away. You've got to go through all of those levels, because otherwise it'll be a disaster. And that's, I think I've used the analogy as well of, I expect to plant some seeds and have a beanstalk tomorrow, and it takes a long time for things to grow. And I'm an impatient person, I think, is basically my problem.
Yeah, and it is hard. It is hard, especially if you get into those moments where, say, with you want to possibly be in a position where you go, do I need to keep teaching? And can my book support me financially long term? And so it's like you want to rush the process and you want to make it happen and get those results. And it is on the right trajectory. And now we've just got to keep going forward. So. Yeah. So, is there anything else that you think people should know, or that you'd like to share? Just put you on the spot.
Yeah, I can't really think what to say to that.
So if somebody was thinking, oh, I might write a book, like, what would your advice be for them?
Write about your passion. Write about something that's deep within you. Sometimes people might want, if it's for a business, say, you might want to write something to support your business, but it needs to be about, if it was that, it would need to be kind of, what's at the heart of your business? What are you doing it for? What's the message that you want to put out? I'm writing about ponies because I love ponies. They are my passion. They are what I know about. But the core of the books is about resilience and growing your confidence, and not looking at what everybody else is doing, and just giving myself my own advice here. Just staying in your own lane and thinking about you and your pony and your bond. And because that's kind of what I've been through. I didn't have expensive ponies and, things given. It was all, bond with that pony, do the work, etc. So for writing, people sometimes think that children's books are easier to write than adults' books. Yeah. But they're not, because, you're writing for a child, but you're not a child. So you've got to think about that. You're also writing for a child who isn't the child that you were 20 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. Things have changed. So you've got to be kind of aware of that. You've got to get your language right and the sort of structure right so that they can access it. It takes a long time. Yeah. I would love to be able to write a book in a week and have it published next week, and there we go, and on to the next. But realistically, it's about a year per book. Yeah. So if you're thinking about doing it, if you'd like to be a writer or have a book published for your own self or for your own family or for the legacy of a pony or a pet that you love, to keep them going, or for your business, it has to be something that you are, you're really into, you're really passionate about, because it's the writing and the editing and all of the stages that go with it. It is quite absorbing. Yeah, and you often find when you're doing these things that there's something else that you need to do, and there's something else that you need to do. There's always, I haven't got time, but if you really want to do it, it's kind of about your choices as to what you spend your time doing. Because I've written now 12 books in 4 years, and I'm still working. So it's just a case of making it happen if you want it to happen. Keep on. So you just got sometimes you just got to keep on and go, no, this makes an impact, and this is what I'm here for. And yes, it does. So thank you so much for joining me, Helen. So if anybody's interested, as I said before, in getting in touch with you, I'll put all the links in the show notes. But where is the best place for people to find you? On my website, probably, is the best place, which is helenharaldsen.co.uk. You can see all what I'm up to on there. You can join my mailing list on there if you want to get updates and be in the loop with what I'm up to. You can do that.
Yeah, and head there as well to get some of your books if you want to buy them, because there is the Amber's Ponytail series, but you've also got a dogs series as well, haven't you? Daily's Dog's Tale.
Daily's Dog Tales, which are based on, you know, my own dogs again. So all my actual animals that I've had along the years or are still with me now are in my books. And I've got another story called Holly Hill Farm and the Lonely Pony, which obviously is set on a farm with farm animals as the characters. So for anybody who's in the farming community, I'm looking for books to entertain young farmers. That's one for them.
Go and grab them now. And thank you so much for joining me today. And and for all your insight. It's been really, really amazing.
Thank you.